In the vast landscape of medical science, there are illnesses that challenge our very understanding of biology. Creutzfeldt Jakob disease, or CJD, stands prominently among them. This is not a common cold or a familiar infection. It is a rare, progressive, and invariably fatal brain disorder that affects about 1 person in every million worldwide each year. While its rarity might make it seem like a distant threat, the nature of CJD makes it one of the most frightening conditions known to neurology. It relentlessly dismantles the most complex organ in our body, the brain, leading to a rapid and heartbreaking decline in cognitive and physical function. Understanding this disease is crucial. To truly understand CJD, we must first get acquainted with its cause, a mysterious and formidable agent known as a prion. The term prion, coined by Dr. Stanley Prusiner in 1982, is short for proteinaceous infectious particle. This name highlights what makes it so unique. Unlike viruses or bacteria, which contain genetic material like DNA or RNA to replicate, a prion is simply a protein. It has no genes, no cellular structure, and by many definitions isn't even truly alive. This simplicity is precisely what makes it so perplexing and dangerous. Creutzfeldt Jakob disease is not a single monolithic illness. It manifests in 4 distinct forms, each with a different origin story. The most common type, by a significant margin, is sporadic CJD. This form accounts for approximately 85% of all cases, and, as its name suggests, it appears to occur randomly, without any clear rhyme or reason. In sporadic CJD, it is believed that a normal prion protein in a person's brain spontaneously misfolds for the first time, triggering the catastrophic cascade of protein corruption. There are no known risk factors for sporadic CJD. It doesn't seem to be linked to diet, lifestyle, or occupation. The second type is familial or genetic CJD, which is responsible for about 10 to 15% of cases. This form is inherited and runs in families. It is caused by a mutation in the gene that codes for the prion protein, called the PRNP gene. This genetic mutation makes the prion protein more likely to misfold into the dangerous shape at some point during a person's life. The onset of Creutzfeldt Jakob disease is often subtle. Symptoms can be mistaken for other more common conditions. Memory problems, confusion, subtle changes in personality. They may become apathetic, or irritable, or depressed, blurred vision or even blindness, poor coordination, difficulty with balance and walking. Because these signs are so nonspecific, CJD is frequently not suspected at first. Family members may simply notice their loved one is not themselves, or that it looks like a rapid onset of dementia. The pace of this initial decline is often far more accelerated than Alzheimer's disease. As weeks and months pass, neurological deterioration becomes alarmingly swift and severe. Memory loss and confusion deepen into a profound dementia. The individual may no longer recognize family members. Involuntary muscle jerks, a hallmark called myoclonus, become prominent. Movements become jerky and uncoordinated, ataxia. Diagnosing Creutzfeldt Jakob disease is a complex process, primarily because its early symptoms can mimic other neurological disorders, Alzheimer's disease, stroke, severe depression. There is no single simple test to definitively say a living person has CJD. Instead, doctors must act like detectives, piecing together clues from the patient's medical history, a thorough neurological exam, a series of specialized tests. One of the most important is an electroencephalogram, or EEG, which measures the brain's electrical activity. In many CJD patients, the EEG shows periodic sharp wave complexes. Another critical diagnostic tool is magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI. Advanced MRI can reveal abnormalities in specific regions, basal ganglia and cortex. MRI diffusion-weighted images showing bright cortex or basal ganglia. A lumbar puncture or spinal tap is another vital procedure, collecting cerebrospinal fluid for analysis. The CSF is analyzed for proteins released when brain cells are damaged, 14-3-3 protein, tau protein. The prognosis for any form of Creutzfeldt Jakob disease is universally grim. It is, without exception, a fatal disease. Once symptoms begin, there is no known treatment that can stop or reverse the relentless destruction of brain tissue. The disease progresses with a speed and severity that is almost unmatched in human medicine. For the most common form, sporadic CJD, about 90% of individuals pass away within 1 year of the onset of symptoms. The median duration of survival is only about 4 to 6 months. This rapid decline leaves patients and their families with very little time to process the diagnosis and prepare for the inevitable. Currently, there is no cure for CJD. The very nature of the prion makes it an incredibly difficult target for medical intervention. Prions are not foreign invaders like bacteria or viruses. They are a misfolded version of a protein that is naturally present in our own bodies, making targeted drugs challenging. Medical care for a person with CJD is therefore focused entirely on palliative and supportive measures. The goal is not to cure the disease but to provide as much comfort as possible and to manage distressing symptoms. As the illness progresses, patients will require comprehensive nursing care to manage feeding, hydration, hygiene, and positioning. Scientists around the world are working to find ways to block misfolding or enhance clearance. Experimental therapies are being explored, but a breakthrough for human patients remains a distant hope. Given that CJD is incurable and universally fatal, prevention is the most critical strategy for managing its threat. For sporadic CJD, which accounts for the vast majority of cases, there are unfortunately no known prevention methods. It appears to arise spontaneously without any link to lifestyle, diet, or environmental exposure. However, for the other rarer forms of CJD, specific and effective measures have been put in place to significantly reduce the risk of transmission and protect public health. The primary focus of prevention is on iatrogenic CJD, the form transmitted through medical procedures. Healthcare facilities now adhere to extremely strict sterilization protocols for surgical instruments, especially those used in neurosurgery or on other high-risk tissues. Because prions are resistant to standard sterilization methods, special procedures are required. Chemical treatments like sodium hydroxide combined with high-temperature autoclaving to ensure that any potential contamination is completely inactivated. The use of disposable instruments for certain high-risk procedures has also become more common. Individuals with a known or suspected diagnosis of CJD, or even those with a family history of the disease, are permanently deferred from donating blood, organs, or tissues as a precautionary measure. Furthermore, products once sourced from human tissue like human growth hormone are now produced synthetically using recombinant DNA technology, eliminating that root of risk. Preventing variant CJD involved a massive public health effort focused on the food supply. Governments implemented strict regulations on cattle farming and meat processing, banning specified risk materials, and robust BSE surveillance removed infected animals from the food chain, and VCJD incidence has plummeted. While Creutzfeldt Jakob disease is the most well-known human prion disease, it is not the only one. CJD is part of a larger family of rare and fatal neurodegenerative disorders that affect both humans and animals, all caused by protein misfolding. In humans, other prion diseases include Gerstmann-Straussler-Scheinker syndrome. Gerstmann-Straussler-Scheinker syndrome is an extremely rare inherited prion disease caused by a specific mutation in the prion protein gene. Unlike CJD, GSS typically progresses slowly over years rather than months, with early motor problems like clumsiness and ataxia and dementia later. Fatal familial insomnia is inherited but very different. Its hallmark is severe, progressive insomnia that eventually prevents sleep, leading to panic, paranoia, and rapid physical and mental decline. Kuru was found among the Fore people in Papua New Guinea and spread through ritualistic cannibalism. It caused loss of coordination and trembling. The word Kuru means to shiver, slurred speech, and eventual incapacitation and death. After ritual cannibalism ended, cases fell sharply. Prion diseases also affect animals: bovine spongiform encephalopathy in cattle, scrapie in sheep and goats, and chronic wasting disease in deer, elk, and moose. These animal diseases inform our understanding and control measures in humans. Each has distinct clinical features, but all are fatal and prion-based. Understanding them gives broader context to the unique pathology of prions. Creutzfeldt Jakob disease stands as a profound and humbling challenge to modern medicine. It operates on the very edge of our biological understanding, turning a normal bodily protein into a relentless agent of destruction. Its rarity is a small comfort. Absolute lethality and the terrifying speed with which it demolishes the human mind remain core facts. From spontaneous misfolding and sporadic CJD to inherited familial forms, to accidental iatrogenic and foodborne variant types, CJD reveals multiple insidious paths for prion initiation. The scientific quest yielded the discovery of the prion and an entire new class of infectious agents, and led to diagnostic tools like RT-Quick, giving families clearer answers than ever before. It also drove robust public health measures that have virtually eliminated transmission through medical procedures and the food supply. Yet the core mystery remains. Why does the prion misfold, and how can we stop it? The battle against CJD is far from over. The true hope lies in laboratories and research centers around the world. Their work impacts the understanding of other neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. For families who receive this devastating diagnosis, there is currently no hope for a cure, only the promise of comfort and compassionate care. A scientist looking thoughtfully at a complex molecular model of a prion protein on a computer screen. Their work is not just about conquering one rare disease, it has implications for understanding other neurodegenerative disorders. Ultimately, CJD is a stark reminder of nature's complexity, that even our most fundamental building blocks can become our greatest enemy. Yet the enduring enigma of CJD fuels an unyielding scientific pursuit of knowledge, and one day perhaps, defeat the undefeatable.